So, guys, as you may know already, I've started working on a 7 video series on the deadly sins, and my last one was on pride, and this is the second one here. And this one I want to talk about greed. Now, greed kind of took over my life until I started my walk with Christ. It had me on puppet strings, if you will, and my self worth was always determined by worldly possessions. It was always determined by, for example, what internship I had, what college I went to, my SAT score, my GPA, how much money I was making. And I found that, I would be in positions where I'd be like, oh, like I'm a loser right now, I'm a scrub. But I promise you, once I land this job, or once I make the varsity team, once I get that great SAT score, once I get into college, once I, become a captain of this team, or, even now, even close to now, once I get that internship, then that void in my heart that I've been trying to fill with all these worldly possessions, then it will be fine. And I'll be able to move in peace. And I found that I was blessed with all these things. Thankfully, I was blessed to actually have the opportunity to have these possessions. But at the time, it never felt like enough. And I was always chasing more. And, even when I had a girlfriend, even when I was in a relationship, I always believed that I needed more from her. I always believed that, she should be putting more time in for me. And a lot of these thoughts were very self-centered. And at the time, as an atheist, I didn't even see that. I didn't even see that impact. I didn't see how bad the greed in my head was, right? Because I believed that, I was volunteering at the church, and I was volunteering for a youth hockey program. And I always thought that, because I'm volunteering, how can I be greedy? How can I be selfish, right? If I do these things charitably for others. And I realized that, by putting all this emphasis on worldly possessions, I'm continuing to walk down the path of the devil. And I'm continuing to go down a road where I'm not necessarily tested by anything that's difficult when you're walking with Christ, because the devil kind of already had me at that point. The devil was like, he treats his money, he treats his status, his power, his wealth, he treats this like God. He treats what I give him like it's his God. So I've already got it. That's basically what the devil was saying. And so I hit a point, actually like a couple weeks ago, where I was calling one of my homeboys from home. And he asked me, he's an atheist, and he asked me, if you got kicked out of college, and if you lost your job, and your family stopped talking to you because of that, would you still be okay knowing that you had God? And I just stopped and realized that is an amazing question, because I'd had all these things, and internally it felt like I had nothing. Internally I felt like that was not enough, and I wasn't doing enough. I wasn't enough. I was reaffirmed that. So even with all these worldly possessions, my spirit wasn't healed. And so I still have these things, thanks be to God. But now that I do have God, I feel more fulfilled. I feel at peace with him. And so in the past, I had all these things, and I felt like I had nothing. So in this call, I answered this question. I said, yes, I think I would be fine, because, all these worldly possessions, they don't really matter, right? If you look at, the story of David, for example, he was a king, and he got exiled. He was on the road, running away from people trying to kill him, and he had nothing. He was in the desert, no food, no water, and he was happy because, he knew that God was on his side, and he trusted in the fact that God would restore him and his family. And that was it, you know? You already know the rest. And so I just look at myself and I look at the question that my friend asked me, which is a great question. And I see that, David had all this wealth, all this power. He had pretty much anything you could want. And at a point where he was strong in faith, even though he lost all these things, he still felt joy. He still felt fulfilled. And so I try to live similarly like this, If I get told, oh, I'm sorry, but we can't take you at our internship next summer, I'm not gonna go nuts. I'm not gonna say, God, you betrayed me. Why'd you do this? Instead, I'm gonna say, thank you. Continue to lead me down the path that you want me to go down. Because he won't make a mistake, right? And once you value his love and your relationship with him over any of these worldly possessions, is when you'll realize that he'll lead you to exactly where you need to be and exactly at the right time. There's never a situation where these worldly possessions are worth more than the relationship you have with God. Now, obviously, with all the pressures of society, pressures of maybe your parents, just any pressures in general, I'm sure you understand. It's a lot easier said than done, right? A lot of emphasis is put on, becoming a provider. A lot of emphasis comes on, being financially well off enough to sustain children and sustain a happy marriage. And, it's very hard to sometimes let go of these worldly possessions and keep God at the center of your life. Maybe you bomb an exam, or maybe you get rejected from your dream job. Maybe you lose a lot of money by, having to pay repairs or something. I don't know. But staying grounded in that faith is where that void you feel that I need more money, I need more power. That void, it can't stay fulfilled if you're not on God's team and you don't actively listen to what he's doing for you. Right? The moment you start saying that this career, this job, this internship, this money is more important than God, as soon as you start saying, you know what, I don't need to go to church, I don't need to read the Bible, I don't need to be praying, I need to put that time into my startup, my homework, whatever it may be, that's when the devil knows he's got you. That's when the devil knows that you're idolizing wealth and power and greed, really, over God. And so I want to close off with just a question, and the same question that my homeboy asked me. If in your respective life, if you were to lose the material possessions you value most, if you were to lose your career, your house, your car, your education, would you still be faithful enough? Would you still be okay with your life knowing that all you have is God? I really encourage you guys to ponder this and not only look at your answer and be proud of it, but also try to live that answer through your whole day, right? Try to live your life putting God at the center and saying, if God's all I have, God's all I need, and without him, even if I have all these things, I have nothing, right? This topic was actually kind of difficult, I'm not gonna lie, but we're here at the end of the video. If you watched the whole thing, thank you a lot, and I hope this helped you guys in your walk. I hope to see you guys hopefully next week. We actually have a study break, 2 days off of class, so that's kind of exciting, and I'm hoping to get me a video or two out by then. Otherwise, hope to see you guys later.